Welcome to the Sports Umbrella, where we cover all aspects of sports, soak in all the knowledge from our guests who range from pro athletes playing up a storm to industry experts making it rain. My name's Kelly Okun, and I'm a former pro golfer and founder and CEO of Fairway to Green, an equitable sports media company. Joining us this episode, presented by Galway Plus, is Dmitry Popov, co-founder and CEO of WurQ, a wearable tech company focused on movement. Dmitry shares not only how WurQ will advance athletes' workouts, but he also dives into the future of tech in the health and wellness space. Dmitry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Everything you're doing with WurQ, when I was playing golf competitively, I wish I had all that information at my fingertips. What inspired you to create WurQ?
Yeah, this has started for me a while ago, and I'm an avid athlete by myself. I mean, I've been doing sports all my life. I did a lot of running and biking using Strava with my friends, and we always like to compare it. But I also used to go to the gym a lot, and I felt like I could never share about what I've done in there. And so that really, it sounds very simple, but that was one of the main reasons it has started. It has evolved over time, the motivation, the reason, how we do it. But the vision was always the same. It's a simple way to understand what people do when they do functional training, the movement, the exercises, how much they've done, how they're doing it, what they can be doing better to spend the time efficiently, to avoid injuries, and pretty much so many things could be enabled if you do know what happened in the gym.
Yeah, and what sort of outputs do you get? What does WurQ do, and how is it different from other products in the market?
Yeah, it's a good question. If you do know wearable space, a lot of, let's say, famous products like Apple, Whoop, Garmin, now we have these rings, smart rings that measure. Very cool, how they do it and the form factor. But most of them focus on heart rate and being able to derive insights based on your heartbeat. It also does things like sleeping, monitoring sleeping, or any really other activities that are prolonged. So if you think about running or walking, that is something that those wearables do well, because this is something you do for a long time. It's easier to process that signal. It's easier to give you the insights about it. What WurQ does in comparison, we focus on your movement, which is the most fundamental thing of any fitness or sport, right? It is how you move, what was the movement that you've done, how much of it you've done, and how well you've done. And that is really where we differentiate. So we do have data about HR and other things, but our primary piece is movement tracking. So I'll give you a specific example. You go to the gym, you do workout, we will know every exercise that you've done automatically. You don't have to log it. It will detect the exercise you've done, reps, sets, timing, how much you've rested. And then we dive deeper into things like movement consistency, your stamina or fatigue, work capacity, how much power you produce. So there's a lot of depth to the metric. We simplify it by a simple fitness score that you see first. But if you're really into, say, exercise science or really want to understand your body, you can then go as deep as you want.
Yeah. That's super interesting. Now, who is this targeted for? Is it for athletes that are in the gym every day, or could an everyday person wear it and still glean some insights from it that are helpful?
Right. I would say like most wearables or really tech company out there in fitness space or really any other space usually starts with more intense athletes for whom it's more important in their life, it's critical, and then it trickles down. The technology gets smarter, it gets easier to use. People who want to be like professional athletes start to learn how to utilize those metrics, how to utilize this technology, and therefore there is a mass adoption happens over time. But yes, today we are in the CrossFit space, so we deployed it and we developed an app that's really focused on CrossFit athletes, because for them functional training is the primary piece of their training routine, which has everything: gymnastics, it has weightlifting, it has cardio component of it, and that's what WurQ can do like a magic. It just knows everything that happened.
Wow, I love that. And we know why you created it, but what in your background allowed you to create it? You're a pretty smart guy, obviously. How did you come up with the technology piece of this?
I try to pretend, to be smart. Yeah, so my background is in robotics, and that means a lot of things. And basically, robotics education allows you to do mechanical, programming, control, signal processing, data acquisition, so bits of everything. You're not professional at anything, but say, I always joke, if you lock a robotics guy or girl in a room, they'll be able to create, anything. It will not be the final outcome, but it will be MVP. So that's really the education there. I did my PhD in South Korea, and then I joined Harvard 9 years ago as a postdoc at the Harvard by Design Lab. And that group was heavily focused on understanding of movement kinematics. There was a big project under DARPA where they've created this exosuit that will assist soldiers to walk over long distance and carry weight. And we were looking at their walking gait and the kinematics of the gait. So that's probably was my first exposure to movement sensors and analysis. And then my passion to sports took it towards the fitness route.
It's always so impressive how niche you can get in postdoc programs.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. My brother's studying internal waves in San Diego, and you're studying someone's gait. It's just crazy how detailed you can get when you want to specialize in something.
Yeah, the science has achieved a lot in the past centuries, so I think these days people have to focus on very specific fields. The biotech, I think, still has a lot of many undiscovered spaces, but a lot of other fields kind of have to be very specialized these days, so yeah.
Very true. And a hot topic right now, and it has been for the last few years, is AI.
Yeah.
How are you leveraging it in your product?
Right. So I think the majority of people, when we say AI, everyone thinks ChatGPT, right? But it's a very specific type of model, natural language processing models. What we use at WurQ is completely different. It's also type of, say, deep learning. We use many different models, but it's different data sets, a different way the way models work. How we utilize, so the WurQ is built on AI. That's our core technology. In terms of other AI models and say generative AI, that's what we utilize for our development process, which is streamlining code development, code review for marketing purposes, for business purposes, of course. So every person on the team uses it one way or another. But the way we envision, and that's actually the most exciting part of WurQ, where we're heading to is, so now we can track what you do in the gym. Now we know what you've done, and we know what other thousands of people of the same age, same gender, same experience are doing, what they're doing, and how does it impact their fitness level. So we can now gather all of the information and using generative AI to suggest to you what you can change, how can you improve, let's say which way to use, as well as we can predict where you will be in, say, a month or 3 months if you will be doing a certain routine. And so I think that will be the most really fascinating. And to your earlier question, that's when it really will be opened more to masses, where it's going to be less work to do what I do with the metrics when the AI will do it for you. But yeah, I see it as a positive thing. It definitely accelerated our work a lot in the past year. So
that's great. And how do you balance the custom AI metrics with data privacy? Is that a concern that you have to deal with in this space?
Of course, we use secure services for storing data, but we don't do anything in terms of your biological data. The only information we need is your, say, username and gender, because we're still different in terms of the fitness, the assessment and recommendation and so on. But we don't take any other information beyond that. Human is human, and we just look at how you move, and that's it.
Galway Plus is the proud sponsor of the Sports Umbrella. Galway Plus Sports and Entertainment is the first of its kind platform in the wealth and risk management sectors designed to cater to the diverse needs of affluent individuals, teams, leagues, and organizations operating within the sports and entertainment industries. Learn more at galwayplus.com. Even though you're an early stage startup, you're obviously at a precipice where you're either deciding to go to the masses, or are you looking at other industries where you could use this technology as well beyond just fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. This, in fact, is a question I think about a lot. And we now have this, I would say, a super tool to understand what you've done and extract the metrics. There are really two paths that we can take with that. One is build this sort of super coach or, based and driven by generative AI that will see what you've done and give you all the advice in the world. Or second path is develop it towards professionals, coaches and therapists and people who really understand their end client. And now we can actually scale them to work with not just, say, 10 or 100 end users, but with thousands, where you can quickly oversee so many people and give them personalized feedback. And now for the end user, it's not just, a program that tells you something. It's a real human that interacts with you. I'm frankly always been leaning towards the second one, but I do see also a big impact we can bring in through the first one. And it might happen that we'll do both in parallel. So one does not exclude another one. It's just kind of an interesting question for me always. But in terms of the application and fields, fitness, that's where we begin. We will expand it to other HIIT modalities. And long term is going to be tactical. Either we're talking about military, either we're talking about firefighters training, and long term is physical therapy. Because movement is movement. I turn my rotator cuff and I'm doing these exercises, and the therapist tell me, do this at home. How many people do it? Not too many. We will know if you do it, and the therapist will know. And a lot of people do need this kind of extra kick in the physical therapy world, so that's where we'll head as well, for sure.
There's so many opportunities there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they could go in so many directions.
Exactly.
Hard to prioritize.
Well, it's not that hard to prioritize, but yes, it's a lot of potential to scale it. But we are moving very cautiously. We don't want to move, really too fast. We want to move when it's ready. That's the thing, something we should always remember. For any AI technology, it has to be somewhat thoughtful before you quickly scale that. Because you can give advice to people that they will follow, and they might misinterpret that. And so that's where we're being careful about giving insights, but not drive people to a direction that might be injurious or something.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful. Have there been other challenges as just a general tech startup that you've run into that you care to share about and how you've overcome them?
That challenges every day. That's what startup journey is, and I'm sure you know it yourself. But I think the primary piece, and you'll be shocked and impressed by, if you work with your end users and you really care about them and not just about business or technology, but you care about, does it actually solve their problems, and you talk to your customers, we get on the phone calls with our users all the time, and we're trying to understand what works, what doesn't work, and what do they want to have in the product. We get, and thanks to our users, we always get positive feedback about it. They really like that we do it. But I think that will resolve a lot of challenges that you have as a team from so many perspectives. You will be faster, you will not waste time on building something no one needs, you will have less bugs, and so on and so forth. So
that makes sense. And is this available to people now, or is it available to beta testers only? How can athletes and coaches start accessing WurQ?
Thank you for asking. Yes, so we've been shipping the systems, and you can go on the website and purchase one. We have now launched our beta V3 campaign. We have now a long waiting list of athletes, and we're going to be shipping our next cohort for this V3. And this is really positioned now as build it with us. So we're going to be very closely working with this next cohort, getting their feedback, because we are now heading into assessment and metrics. And as I said, we want to be very cautious about what feedback we're giving to people. And so we want to see, okay, we'll measure things accurately, and we told you the insights or the score we gave you, was it relevant, and how did you change your workout routine based on it? Because we want it to be intentional, these numbers. So yes, you're welcome to go to WurQ.io website and sign up for our beta waiting list.
I will be doing that after
All right.
this, definitely.
All right.
And then looking at the wearable tech industry in general, where do you see it going in 5 years? Whether it's helping human performance or in the fitness space or just in general. Like you mentioned a ring earlier, that just, I feel like, popped up in the last few months.
Right.
What do you see coming next?
It's a very interesting question. I think there's so many technologies out there, people put on their skin, maybe in the future under their skin, maybe in the clothing, their insoles, their rings, their wearables around your neck, around your chest, around your wrist. And they will, it's hard to predict what will be, I would say, the next thing, but one way or another, they will all gather information about what we do and how we do it to create essentially a digital profile of a human. And I think no matter what the wearable is, it's going to be serving the same purpose, to know what has happened, and now knowing all of these data points, how can we increase our lifespan, how can we train better, how do we spend more efficient time in the gym. So I know I do not answer your question directly, because if I knew what will happen, I would probably do something about it. But I can see a lot of wearable technologies evolving fast, lots of vision technology, cameras evolving fast. I looked into, I know your background is in golf, so before this meeting, I looked into golf technologies, and I was blown away how much stuff is out there. You have smart balls, you have smart sensors for the clubs, you have these range measurements, you have the wearables that have the whole map of the course.
Yeah, that's what I have.
On the Garmin, yeah. Insoles and so on and so forth. I've seen some sensor that looks at your wrist position, which seems like pretty popular. So I was impressed how quantified golf is compared to many other sports. And maybe it's because of regulations. I know that, for example, in basketball, they're pretty strict about the wearables. I don't know about any other specific sports, but like in CrossFit, it's not regulated. And when you go to CrossFit gym, you can see our athletes will have, a Fitbit, Garmin, Whoop, and sometimes 4 wearables.
Wow.
And, they want more. And partially, they want more because none of the stuff they have gives them the insight they want. So that is good for work. It's exciting for work. Back to your original question, the technology will get smaller, faster, more real time. That's for sure. And I think we'll be having more embedded generative AI. That's what will happen. But yeah.
Thank you. And our last question, I love sports psychology. I love celebrating the little moments. People might not see it from the outside, but it might mean a lot to you. What's a small victory you've had while creating WurQ that is really special to you?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, you always focus on what's next. You actually don't take too much time on celebrating those little wins, but over time you do get better at it. I think the first time when we've seen a very robust tracking was exciting because we are all of different heights, different dimensions and experience, meaning that by default, the technology has to work on so many different humans, right? And so making it so robust is hard. So seeing it being consistent, that was the first, not just for me, but for the entire team, that was a huge win. I think seeing first 1,000 people signing up for being beta testers and users felt surreal and exciting as well. Yeah, I think, and every moment when you interact with the end customer, when they sincerely, you can see it in their eyes and their emotions that they feel like it's a magic what you deliver, that just keeps you motivated and just keeps you going. So that's always a small win there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Dmitry, really excited to see where you take WurQ next and where it goes next. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having us here.